I'm Robert Mowery. This video production you're about to view was created by Ralph and Dorothy Sheetz, my sister Lois Mowery, and myself. Through research of the Sheetz and Mowery family genealogies, we have gained a great deal of knowledge about the early day history of the Calvary community and its schools. My sister has spent a great many hours gathering information on the Calvary school with the intention of writing a book. The trend today seems to be moving toward video presentations since the advent of the video cassette recorders. So we've decided this would be a good way to present to you the knowledge that we've gained without all the effort required of putting the book together at this time. I'd like to introduce to you my sister Lois Mowery. Lois, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
Yes, several years ago, while going through my father's school mementos, I wondered if other families had saved things, which they did, and we hope to share them with you. These are the playbooks that was in my attic when I was a small girl. I would have my dad tell me what was in them, and he would give me a brief outline about the play, which he was usually in them, and describe the scenes, who played what characters. Also, when I was a small girl, the Mowerys were great country store loafers. My dad would take me along to the store, and I would hear stories about Calvary School. I was too young then to attend Calvary School, but after living through these stories, I developed a deep interest to learn more, and this is how I became involved in this project.
Get into this Calvary School history. Let's tell you a little bit about our community, the history of our community. That's what we need to know. This map's on the wall here, over here, is the county tax maps of our community from the county tax office, and we'll use this for the reference. And this is going to show the land grants. There here is the town of Woodstock. We'll get you orientated. This is the town of Woodstock. This is our little community of Calvary. This down here being Reedus, and this up here is being Kaufman Town, and up in here is Fairview or Alonzoville. Now, Lord Fairfax, he was the person that was divvying out all the land in the late or mid 1740s or late 1740s to the 1750s and 1760s. Now, don't let this word grant be misleading. The grants you paid for them. You paid for the land grant, and then you paid what they call a quit rent, Q-U-I-T. And then later the quit rent was abolished when we formed our own government here. Now, the grants were divvied out by people that come down here apparently from Pennsylvania, and they went and applied first for a warrant and a survey. And what the warrant meant, they intended to buy. They found some unused property that was ungranted property, and they applied for a warrant and a survey. And then later on they applied for the grant. Now, the grant we're going to talk about first is the Matthias Sheetz grant, and that's right here at this area. And this is the town of Woodstock over here, and this is Route 42 going out through the middle of Calvary, and this little nucleus of Calvary here, and then of course 42 going on out to Wesley Chapel to Columbia Furnace. And Matthias Sheetz in 1768 was granted 1,000 acre land grant. Here's the perimeters of it. And it starts down here about where William Sheetz is at, Miss Evelyn Hutchinson, and goes over here to the corner up here where Thomas Sullenberger is, over toward Wesley Chapel, out to Rickards Woods, backer of Guy Wetzel's Rickards Woods, and on over to the road there that goes by the Cyberts, and it's Route 780, and comes over here to Hisey Avenue, sort of, and then down this way, near Hisey Avenue before it, and it goes going back down this area here. Now, Matthias Sheetz was slain by the Indians before he was actually received the grant, but he was here before the grant was given. Now, the Sheetz family is predominant families in Calvary, so they're the ones that probably started the first school. We know from early history or early records in the courthouse, an incident occurred that they did have a schoolhouse here. The Sheetz family was German, and all the community around us, the families were basically German. And here's some of his neighbors. This was Samuel Knisley, which later sold to William Thompson, and Anthony Knisley, which Thompson bought also that property, and Adam Yeager, which then later on become the Heisey, Christian Heisey. That's where the Heiseys were at. And George Ziegler, which later George Grandstaff owned, and John Martin Fultz. Here's the Fultz family. Heights down here, and Augustine Kaufman up in here had 2 tracts, and Peter Holler, the Holler family, and John Houses, also Steiger, Gokenar, and here's Samuel Rutherford, Anthony Knisley here, and Adam Kelp, and Jacob Gokenar, and George Mathis, and of course George, my group, settled out at Fairview, Alonzoville, Jacob Gokenar. But we're going to talk about the schools here, and this little nucleus here, and it was of German descent. We'll talk to Ralph and Dorothy Sheetz. Dorothy is a retired school teacher with the Shenandoah County school system, and she has a lot of knowledge about the early day schools. And Ralph, he's provided me so much with the Sheetz history and schools, history about the Calvary schools also. And incidentally, we have a history tape out about the Sheetz family, which has a lot of history on Calvary if you'd like one. So let's go talk. You're probably more up on the history of the school systems in an early day community. And how did the early day school systems start? How did that come about?
Well, the first thing that happened, the parents were pretty much responsible for the schools in their own community. And they would get together and build a building and buy the land sometimes. And then they would each pay a small amount for each child to pay the teacher. And they would get the teacher. Sometimes the teacher would live in the community and they would give him room and board. And sometimes they came from their own home. They usually walked. I've known the story of some of them who would walk across the mountain.
Yes.
To Cedar Creek.
Well, some of these early school systems in the late 1700s and early 1800s, were they a Christian church affiliated with church or
Not the primary schools. Now, there were some academies which were affiliated with churches, but they were more on the secondary level, what we would call a high school now. My mother went to one of those. From the 7th grade at Morristown, she went to the academy in Woodstock, which was a Reformed church then affiliated.
Now, these early school systems were built by the people in the community and supported by the people in the community. They paid the teachers salary and all that. And how long did that continue
Oh, I do not have the exact date, but I'm sure it was sometime in the 1880s that the county and the state took over the school systems and began to provide schools. In the beginning, these schools that were established over the county were one-room schoolrooms, 3 rooms at the most, and they were established in each community so that the children would not have to walk so far. That was a great thing because the school became the center of each little community. And when those schools were closed, it did something to the community.
They were also the social center of the
They
community.
certainly were the social
And
center.
we found that a lot of things, meetings went on in schools, and probably early day voting everything was done in some schools, maybe. Was it? Or?
I'll tell you what went on in my school at Mount Solon. The second school they built for me, the second year I was there, they built a new school. We had a stage, we had a piano at one end of the room. We had programs every month for the parents and invited the men to come. And it was a real social occasion. And many of the people in the community came who were not parents and had a great time. Of course, I did have some square dances, which were frowned upon at that time.
Yeah.
But, in fact, I got in trouble over it, and I finally explained to Mr. Shoemaker that it was nothing more than a folk dance.
Yes.
And that pleased him, and he allowed it from that time on.
Ralph, you've been involved in social activities at Calvary out there too, in which we found out there's a lot of school plays went on, a lot of social activity went on at Calvary School too, didn't you?
Oh, quite a bit.
You do you remember much of it?
Oh, yes. I remember, of course, my days as a student there, and then later years, I got more active in the community. I believe they call it the Community League, or the School League.
Civic League.
Civic League?
Civic.
Well, anyway, we just about every winter we would get a group together and have a play, and we got a lot of enjoyment out of that. It was a good experience.
Yes. Okay, now the earliest school system that we know of, Ralph, we've found out now is, we are sure, is the Steadley School, and that's Stidley School, and that was at Mount Calvary. It was at the time called Mount Calvary, right?
Well, I don't think the community was called Mount Calvary at that time, not right at that exact time.
Yes.
I have this little booklet here that was published by the Mount Calvary Evangelical Reformed Church. It's a centennial booklet published in 1951, and they have quite a bit of information there that was taken from the church records, the early church records, I'm sure. And so far as the school's concerned, they do mention here that they mention Steadley School in 1850, but the reason they mention that is that when it was proposed that a house of worship and the exclusive use of the German Reformed and Evangelical Lutheran Tennessee Synod somewhere near Sheetz Mill or Steadley School.
Okay, all right. So we know that the first school was probably Steadley School.
Probably
and
Steadley
we've
School.
had
And we think now that was located at the Sheetz property, which later became, anyway, the Sheetz property on Miss Helen and Betty Sheetz.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
I would like to know.
The community of Calvary here, and we'll. This is the road from Woodstock, and this is the center of the nucleus of Calvary here, and the road here goes on out to Columbia Furnace. Right here, it will be the first school right in this area here, around the Lutheran and Reformed Church, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
Mount Calvary Church, and this is the general area here. Again, this is Calvary, the community of Calvary. Originally, the road swung down around the store here at that time, Heisey's store, and the road here is the Sheetz Mill Road, was called in those days, wasn't it, Ralph?
Yeah.
And around here, and it was on the corner right here, is where this Steadley School, and it's Stidley, and we feel it operated from the early 1790s, possibly to the 1850s. Would you agree with that?
Possibly so,
Yes. This Mount Calvary Church here, and then the cemetery here, and across the road, directly across the road. Abraham Sheetz built a house next to it. Then later on, we found out, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And that was Betty and Miss Helen or Helen. They lived there in the house next to it. So this first school was a log cabin school, wasn't it? Type of school.
Log structure.
Log
Yeah.
structure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the first school we were just talking about, and it was a log cabin school, and it was built, we feel, in possibly 1790s or early 1800s. And again, we know that from early court records, we've found that a person in the community went on a drunken rampage and chased some people up over the hill, and it says in the court records that they chased Mrs. Sheetz, the mother of all the Sheetzes around here, to the school, wasn't it? Is that what?
Well, the Sheetz home is under the hill there from the school, and it seems that this trouble started there at the home. But as I remember the story, he was going up the hill to find the school teacher. For some reason, he had something he needed to settle with the school teacher.
Oh, okay. So this is, we're sure it was the early school. Now, this school stood there on the property until the 1950s.
I believe.
And it was taken down and assembled somewhere else by Daniel Berner at that time. He purchased it. I found out Mrs. Lois Ryman lives on the property now. And this school, you remember, is this end over here had the men in it that had a carpenter shop. The Sheetz family did.
Well, as I remember the building, it was mainly a carpenter shop, a weaver shop. Some of the women had their loom there that they wove materials, and it was just a general building, storage, and what have you.
Right. And there's a log cabin, and the front door was just plain old door. And there's a rock there that Mrs. Ryman now has at her back door that was to that door. Okay, this is the rock you say it was at the front door of the...
Pretty sure that was rock.
Okay.
Because I remember him moving it around here.
Uh-huh. So that's the front door step. Think of how many children went and
Up over that.
stepped up over that rock for all them years. I mean, I drew it myself.
Well, let's go talk to Chalmers Sheetz
Just
now.
recently. But it was an early day log cabin school, and it was the Steadley School. Your family went and put a metal roof lean-to out in here, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then stakes down, I remember.
Yeah.
And they did their butchering and stuff under there,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was a wood shed, except when they butchered. I don't know
Mhm.
where they moved the wood out when they butchered, but if it was bad weather, what'd they call that thing, that barrel that they sort of half buried in the ground to dip the hogs in? The hog
Scalding barrel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Scalding trough.
Hogsel or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And right in there is where they did that.
Okay, of course, then on the other side there, Judge Copenhaver lived. There was houses built there, and we had the church
Cemetery.
and the
Right
cemetery
where
in
the
this
point-
area, and
yeah.
the church, and
Yeah.
so. Okay. Okay. You say I got that
I think
down pat, huh?
I couldn't have done it better myself.
Okay.
That's a good memory.
All right, good. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
that brings back a lot of memories for me. I spent a lot of time there when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Now this is the corner where the Steadley School was sitting. When I was a young man, I went around it. I never knew the Steadley School, but it was sitting right there where this building's sitting there. And we'd be looking at the northwest corner of it. This road here leads down to the Sheetz Mill. It was known in those days as the Sheetz Mill Road. And on some documents it said the road leading, describing land, the road leading from the Sheetz Mill to North Mountain. And it was known then as the Sheetz Mill Road. And this is Mount Calvary Church, which was set up by Philip Sheetz, one of the Sheetz family again. Donated property and got that started. Now we're looking at the same point over to Calvary School number 2, which we'll be visiting sometime here later.
Possibly, I would say mostly Sheetz family was the ones that attended the school.
It was known as the Sheetz settlement,
Yes.
so I would think there would have been quite a few, yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. We're looking at the front door here is facing east right now, the way it is. It's facing east side. At that time, we feel that the road possibly swung around here, went in front of the school, and there was no house built there at that time, and went this way down through here, didn't it? And then later on, Abe Sheetz family built the road, and the Sheetzes divided this land around this property, and they went and built a house right there, and right in front of the school entrance, and we feel then the road got changed in behind this and swung this way down around this way. Is that the way?
That's a possibility, yes.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
Now, how has anybody investigated how it got its name Steadley? S-T-I-D-L-E-Y, isn't it?
We really don't know, Robert. We assume probably Steadley was the name of the school teacher or schoolmaster, or it could have been one of the landowners at that time.
Yes.
I would-
What languages do you think was taught in here? This is a German settled community.
Yeah. I believe, though, that the teachers were teaching English because English was the language of the government, and the kids were speaking German at home. So when they came to school, they must have had a very hard time. And you know, at that time, these people were called dumb Dutch because they could not speak or write the English language. So I'm sure the teachers were teaching them.
Now let's move away from the Calvary area just a little bit, out in the neighboring areas. And what we're looking at here is a document from the governor of Virginia in the year of 1825 designating 1/2 acre in trusteeship to Jacob Sheetz and a John Marr. And this John Marr is part of the Mowery family, my ancestors. And this land is set aside, it says here, for a schoolhouse and seminary of learning for the inhabitants of the neighborhood of the narrow passage creek. And this property is in a very remote area. The map we were looking at before, it's just west of the Matthias Sheetz land grant, and we'll find it right here in a little area triangle on the map right here. Now the document was dated there in 1825, but this land around here was all granted in the 1740s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And this little plot of land in the center here was never granted to no one. So it's evidence that it was used for a school and a meeting house. In the early days, these were called meeting houses. And I imagine that a lot of community events went on there. It's in a very remote area. You wouldn't think today that there was ever a school there if you visit the site, which we'll visit here shortly. To get to it was in off of route number 605 up through here, and you go in to the old Hahn place. It was Grandstaff at that time owned the property, granted it. Now Karen Cooper lives there and went down there. It was the road to that area there. And also you come in 680 up by here, 680 out through here toward Kaufman Town. And 682 goes back by the old Obie Kibler place. But eventually Obie Kibler bought the land, or got the land in his property around 1911 and went to the land that he owned. Now it's across the road or across the creek from the old Charlie Mowery, Elmer Mowery place, the old Sarah Bette Mowery, Jack Swartz lived here, and David Kibler lived here. And up in here was the old known as the old Hahn place, or Houston place as we used to know it. So this is a little half-acre tract of land here. And this school operated up to, we know, probably in the 1870s or 80s. Now in the 1870s there was a shooting event that happened in the community, and we read a newspaper article about it, and they had an inquiry there about the shooting. And it said that hundreds of people attended, and it's hard to believe that there's a lot of people, commotion going on in this little remote area of our county. Of Elizabeth School, described to me by Milton Lineweaver, who went and traveled by it as he was a young child with his dad, visiting the Kibler family, and also Mr. John Ryman. And Elizabeth School, we haven't found out yet how it got its name. We can't find anything at all on that. So let's go talk to Mr.
In the door. As far as, I think, I told you the lead was falling off and all.
Mm-hmm.
You got it right now. I told you to come back here.
Yes.
And come out on a level and put a little platform there.
Mm-hmm.
Now that looks...
Now here's the gate. They probably walked over that way and walked up steps here, or here. Maybe they might have had steps here too, didn't they?
Right up here.
Uh-huh. The steps was right here and went up through there to the steps?
Yeah, come right straight up. There wasn't no fence or no nothing there. Just an old skill. And the steps is right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right up. It looks pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Did you know it had a roof in it or not? Do you remember?
What, up here?
Uh-huh. Or was it open ceiling?
Indeed, I couldn't tell
Can't
you.
remember
You
that.
see well, I could remember, but you see what happened, the roof went bad.
Uh-huh.
That's what I presume, the roof
Yeah.
went bad, and the weather come down after the roof went bad, and that's the reason the floor was still, that we could walk around on.
Yes.
The
Uh-huh.
floor was the last thing, and probably the better part of the building
Yes, yes,
at that time.
yes, yes. This is about 1908, you say. He's about 8 years old? 7 years old?
Maybe 7 years old. I'd say 8 years old. He's pretty near.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's about the size of the building too, as you remember,
Yeah.
didn't it? Uh-huh. Okay, and it had 2 windows here on the side, you believe, and you seen it. It said it had the weatherboarding was off of it, and you could see through the thing partially.
Oh yeah.
And you said it didn't have no drywall on the inside of it, did it?
No,
Just-
not that I noticed. Now,
Yeah.
you know, if it had been a drywall,
You've been
and
seeing.
if it had been plastered in there,
Yeah.
I'd have seen
You'd have
smoke.
seen it, yeah, on the floor, yeah.
But now, I don't say it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Here we are standing on Route 680, and we're looking up into that corner up there where this Elizabeth School once stood. And it's hard to believe as quiet and serene as the area is, nothing around it, growed up underbrush, that there was a school in there back in the early or late 1700s and the early 1800s. We're looking over toward the old Jack Swartz house over there in the middle now. And there's the turn in the road of Route 680. And it's up there's the old Sarabette Murray place, and then there's the old Elmer and Charlie Murray place that just went by. Bobby Scheit lives there now, I believe. But we were standing back there looking back. Now, there's nothing left here of this old school but some old rocks and stuff. And we could find rocks that was part of the foundation. And this school was where the Murrays all went to school at, and my grandfather was very much of a religious man, read the Bible, and his brother was Ramsey Murray, was a preacher, and I'm sure that's where they all got their early education. One afternoon, we were all out, Lois, I, John Ryman, and Miss Ivy Waitman is in here. We're all looking at this. Now, about where you all are at, where Mr. John's at, is about where the center of this building was at, right?
That's about
Yeah.
right.
And he said it was about the size of his house, first floor of his house is this building. He remembered A-frame.
Did you see that schoolhouse down there with Mr. Murray?
Yeah.
That'll give you an idea about my recollection about what this schoolhouse was
Yes.
like here.
Yeah.
Before it was more going to pieces thin than what that
Like that one that's moved up to narrow passage.
Yeah.
That, well, that would be small.
Now, who all went to school here you all know of?
Well, I know Grandma went, and I know Aunt Sarah and Aunt Idie and Uncle Jake. Uncle Charlie.
Murray.
Yeah, Uncle
There's
Charlie
others were
Murray.
Kibbers.
Well, there was others besides that. There was Holmes,
Okay.
and I really don't know, but I do know that there was some Holmes, and there was some Peterses,
Okay.
and
Jesus,
Sheetzes.
my wife's grandmother.
Probably Couriers too, I reckon.
Yes.
Some Couriers
Yeah, I
in
guess.
here.
I guess.
Kaufmans?
Yes, some Kaufmans.
Okay. Any of your family go here, Mr. John? You don't remember them coming in here?
I don't think so. See, our family, they all went to St. Luke.
Okay. All right. Went that way. There's a-
Even the older Ryman.
Okay. All right. All righty.
Want to get a picture down up from where I was at? You could also take
Standing about where the front door was here, Mr.
Yeah.
it right along here.
And y'all probably be standing in the building, wouldn't you?
Well, we'd have been in the building.
Yeah.
And all those rocks had to be used for steps to get
Yeah.
up to it, didn't it?
Well,
Rocks and
they was
foundation, I reckon.
Some of it.
Well, a lot of them would be foundation in
Yeah.
fact.
Because foundation.
You know, German was probably surely taught here in the first 50 years in this school, and then the English language caught on. And I often daydream about going back in time to this place where my ancestors was raised, and being able to walk around and talk to them. And you know, you have to stop and think. You know, they acted different than what we would think they were supposed to act. You couldn't talk to them. They would act German, and you'd probably think, you know, they're not part of my bunch. But I'm sure that's the way it is with everybody's ancestry, a lot of it. But I still daydream about it. Now, this here is the road leading down from Karen Cooper's house down to this, right there to the left is where this school's set. And some of these trees around in here you'll see is, I don't know, probably over 100 or so years ago. And I kind of daydream a little bit about, you know, they were probably saplings whenever my great uncle Ramsey Mowery was in school, and my granddaddy Saul Mowery was there in school, and the other Morys. And I'd like to add, there was probably Grandstaffs, Williams, Hasses, and Kaufmans also attended this school. And it's hard to believe over in that little old corner there. It's nice and quiet and serene, like I said before, and this generation doesn't know anything about what went on there, but now you know what I know. What you are seeing now is the former site of Green Hill School. And it had operated around in the 1770s, we think, or 1870s through the 90s, and probably around 1900, and up to the time Calvary School closed. And it is at the intersection here of Route 685 and 682, where they intersect. But this is the site of the former Green Hill School. It's about approximately, I'd say, 3/4 of a mile west of Wesley Chapel Church. This is Lake's Atlas of Shenandoah County, Virginia, and it was published in 1885. And it shows where all the families were living in 1885 in these communities. The atlas of the maps of the area. And here's Green Hill School, and here's Wesley Chapel Church here, up in there. But here it lists Green Hill School. And here's some of the families that were living around here at that time in 1885. There was Martins and Hoddles, Didowicks, Durton, Magruder, Holler, Height, Tysingers, Lamberts, Bowmans, some Sheetz, Quarry, more Sheetz and Hoddles, Phillips, Fosters. Those are some of the families that was living around here in Green Hill School. Green Hill School, taken somewhere around early 1890s, and it's courtesy of Virginia Holler Tysinger, and her father's on there, Walter Holler. Is the only person that we can identify at this time. That's Walter right there, Virginia's father. But there's 40 children on here. It's a shame we couldn't identify more of them. And they're all good-looking children. Possibly somebody will see this video and we can find one like it that someone's identified everything on it, or a lot of it, and we'll know who some of these children are. Green Hill School in the 1890s. School site we're looking at now is the old Pine Grove School, and it's on Route 605, about 1 mile west of the corner of 685. And it's down toward where Ray Sheetz and all of them live. Carl and Ray was born in this house right here, David Sheetz' house, I believe. And it's on Route 685. And it once stood here where this home is today. We're looking at the map again, the 1885 map. Oh, here's Calvary Post Office over here. And there's Pine Grove School right there. Let's look at some of the families living around here. Sheetz's, some of the Lamberts, Hoovers, lots of Hoovers around here. Magruders, Millers, Jens, more Sheetz's, looks like a hill there maybe, a Linden Mood, and Kibblers. And lots of Sheetz's around this community here. This is the second school around this area. What we're looking at now is the third school in our Calvary community, and it's on the corner of 676 and 763. This school was called Mount Vernon. And this house here was the former schoolhouse, and we think it closed around the early 1920s. And I understand it was located down over the hill somewhere. Again, we're looking at the map of 1885 of the out past Patmos Church is where this was. About a mile north of Patmos Church is where this Mount Vernon School was on the map. Here's the Mount Vernon School, and here's some of the families living around there again. Frables, some more Frables here. It looks like Millers, Huddles. Is that a Fur there, or Rickard, Kibler, Heisey, Kiblers, Gokenars, and Wismans, and Joseph Sager. And those are some of the families that are living around the Mount Vernon School. Now we have pictures from Pearlie Kibler Fravel, whose husband was Josiah Fravel, and they were both school teachers. And we have a picture from Pearlie Kibler Fravel of. Okay, college. How about this group of
Oh
pictures?
my land, that's Mount Vernon School.
Mount Vernon School.
Yep,
It is.
yeah.
Well, you got to name them people.
Oh,
Now that's Mount Vernon School. Was
Yeah.
over
that's
here. Okay.
that's Blanche Ship,
Wait a minute. Let me
Edna Rao,
Okay.
Florence Kibler, Lois Kibler, Grace Ship. Now
Okay.
these are not the married names.
Right. That's okay.
I can't think who he was, but he wasn't from around here, I don't think. Earl Kibler and Lester, not Odin Sheetz,
Odin Sheetz.
Paul Hone,
Mhm.
Phil Hone, Lelia Ship, Esther Rao, Silas Kibler, and I think that's a Silkett, Bueller, or I don't know what her name, Ed Rao.
Mhm.
Would that have been Nevin?
Well,
I believe that's,
he could have very easily been.
I wouldn't believe so. John Fadley and Roy Kibler, Lizzie Hone, Audrey Kibler, Martha Ship, Virginia Rao, Pearlie Kibler, me, May Ship, Margaret Kibler, Earl Hone, and Ford Hone.
Now this is the Mount Vernon School.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Where-
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Harry Diddlewick told me he went to school over there, didn't he?
Well, he may
He
because
could have,
they
because
lived,
they lived back
over here
at
back
Patmos.
of
Yeah, I
Patmos.
talked
They
to
lived
him
back
and-
of Patmos.
And he was telling me about this school over here, and that's where I first learned about it.
Yeah.
What's this right here, down here?
But this
Mhm.
was another Mount Vernon's. Oh, let me see. That was my sister, Esther, I think. That was Blanche Ship, Grace Ship. I reckon that was Earl. And that was Floyd Silkett, I believe. And Edna Rao, me, May. Well, we jumped up if I know who that is. But this is Esther Rao. And this is Virginia Miller. And that was Catherine Miller and Margaret Kibler.
Now we just got done visiting the three surrounding schools, and that was Mount Vernon, Pine Grove, and Elizabeth, and Green Hill. Those schools was formed around the nucleus of Calvary, and they were all in the late 1800s. But let's go look. Remember, we was at the first Calvary school, and it was called Steadley, and that was the first school at the Calvary. Now we're going to leave this school here at Steadley and this community here in the Mount Calvary Church and travel down through the ravine and up over the hill and up here to what's now known as Shirley's Corner, Calvary, Rickard's Store, and Henry's Plumbing and Heating. And of course this building here was Turner Funkauser's blacksmith shop at that time. At that time the road did not go straight down like it does today. It had a turn in it and went down by this old store here, didn't it, Ralph?
Well, that was a brick store, and as I remember it, the old
Okay.
brick building. Yes.
Right, and down over the hill. And here is the present logo, or the location of the Calvary schools. The second school was located right in the middle of the roadway, wasn't it?
Pretty much so, as the road goes now, yes.
Yes. Okay. And we found, or you found documents that how this land was come about.
Dorothy has some records there.
Okay.
Yes, I went to the courthouse and I was lucky enough in a deed book to find this information. Henry Sheetz Jr. of Henry, dated to George Sheetz of Jacob, 22 square poles in the fork of the road near Henry Sheetz land for a schoolhouse. The first trustees were George of Jacob, George of Henry, and David Lambert.
Okay. So that was in what year? 1840?
42.
42. So this next school we're going to look at was built by the people of the community, wasn't it?
Right.
Calvary School, drawn by me, Robert Mowery. And I went up and visited this school. It's still standing today up at Narrow Passage area up on the hill across from Narrow Passage Inn, isn't it?
Route 11.
Yes, it's next door to the Painter family home.
Right.
And I went up and Jeff Freeze, he said his dad lived in it or owned the property for 35 years and the school was there then. Now, we know this school was started in 1850s, is that right?
42.
1842.
That's when the land was bought.
Okay.
And I presume that they would start building right away, you know. I would think so.
Yes. Now, I found that this building had shingles on it at one time, and it looked to me like it's approximately 25 foot by 35 foot, I would say. And inside, the height was 13 foot high.
13-foot ceiling.
Yes, the ceiling was 13 foot, and metal or wood plaster lath, and it's still standing today. This school here was then moved in about 11, I reckon, when the new school at Calvary was built after this one.
Well, I would say after the new school at Calvary started operating, yes.
And so this is still standing today, and
Was moved from Calvary to Narrow Passage by Mr. Lineweaver with his team.
There, we've found that. This is Milton Lineweaver, the son of Charlie Lineweaver, who had the team of horses that hauled the school away. Milton lives in Detroit, Michigan. About your dad hauling away the second Calvary schoolhouse up there on Narrow Passage, I just was up there a couple weeks ago and took pictures of it and went through it with the video camera and went over that. Now, tell me about your dad moving that schoolhouse there.
Well, that was a one-room schoolhouse. That's where I went there a year and a half when I first started the school.
Okay.
Then they built the four-room school and I went up there.
Yes.
And they took it down in pieces. And he'd take one side of the school at one time.
He didn't haul it all together.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. He took the sides off.
Took the sides off, the ends off, and the roofs off.
Yeah.
Now, you don't know nothing about this, but there was a covered bridge down there near Passage as you go up to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
He had 6 inches space to go through there with this half of the school. Well, he had to do this at night. There wasn't no cars in those days.
Right.
Oh, there was a few of them. Dr. Smoot had one, and what's his name over there? Open car.
Dad you say it was a covered bridge that he
He went through there. He'd leave around about 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And take it down there and just make one trip a night.
Okay.
And
so he took it down in
took it down on pieces.
Okay.
He didn't have nothing to do with putting it up, just hauling it down there.
Okay. He went to. So let's get back to the little Calvary school that you went to. You say that you went in the porch, walked in the front door.
Yeah.
And you sort of walked into a little cloakroom like.
No, you didn't. If I could, let's see here. You walk in here.
Uh-huh.
And here's you're in the schoolhouse.
Yes.
Around here is a little room on each side here.
Oh, okay.
If you come in from the school room.
Uh-huh.
And this was for the girls and this was for the boys.
That's where they hung the clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And put the lunches in there.
So they have a little walkway.
Elam Sheetz went to school there, and Abe Sheetz went to school there, and
they had a little walkway like in. Is what you're saying, right? Little hallway going in the school.
Well, just that room where for the belfry we called it, where they ring.
Right. That's just a little room, and they had you say they had a bell thing there. You pulled the bell up there, right?
Yeah.
And now you say the boys sit on one side, and the girls on the other.
Yeah, that's right.
And which side did the girls sit on?
They sat on the right-hand side going in.
Okay, they face side.
The boys on the left-hand side.
All right.
And they had wooden desks for the big boys.
Yes.
It was all, I don't know where they ever came from, but it was old when I saw them.
Mm-hmm.
And Abe Sheetz, Elam, and I don't know, somebody got a big lump of clay, made a big ball out of it. And then they had a stove in the middle of the room.
Stove was in the middle.
And a long bench on each side. The girls and for the boys. And you could sit there and get warm. Or you could sit there and study your lesson and be warm. Because it was warmer there than it was sitting at the desk close to the window.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody taking through this clay ball across this desk, and it stuck onto the...
Now here's a picture taken of number 2 Calvary School, and it was taken in the year of 1895 or 1896. And the teacher name was David Reynolds. And the only people we've identified on so far is this is Charles Carrier, and this is Herbie Carrier. Here they are down here blown up. Charles here, I think. And this is Herbie here. We've had it blown up. This is, I think, my Aunt Maggie Gokenar, I'm pretty sure. Or Aunt Maggie Sheetz Gokenar. This year, we think this is Ralph's aunt, Delilah May Sheetz Gill. And I think this is Betty Sheetz. The others on here we haven't been able to identify. (1895 to 1896). Here is the interior of the building, and Milt was describing it earlier. He went into a foyer, and then he said he went around to the little closet cloakroom, and on one side was boys and one side was girls. But this is facing north, this building here. We're looking toward the north, up. Teacher's desk, the blackboard was up here. Here's the stove he was mentioning, and the little benches down along the sides. Girls sit on one side, on the Woodstock side, and the boys sit on the Columbia Furnace side. Looking at the picture earlier, it didn't have a bell tower on it, but we found out it had one on it, and it wasn't in the earlier drawings you've seen. And they think it. This is the old school, Calvary number 2, and its present location now up in Narrow Passage Hill, up there down from the church and across from the old stone consignment shop or whatever's up there now. It used to be Dorothy's Inn. But this was a schoolhouse when they moved it up there in 1911. I think it was moved in 1911 and moved up there. And of course, Milt Lanneweaver told you on earlier that his dad moved it up there with teams of horses. And it was a school. Now, Clara Fogel Mowery told us that she went to school there. And there was 33 students in this room when she went to school there. I have no record when it closed. The road was Calvary School number 2. That's where it sit in its original location when it was at Calvary, right in this area here. The road went to the left down through there. The original road didn't go straight. Okay, here to our left, down through here, in front of that brick house, used to be Heisey's store. And Harry Barr lives in it now. And the road swung around down here toward that car and then swung on down through this area through here, went down the hill. I told you before the road. This is my grandmother, McGuffey's reader. And she went to school using it in 1880, and she was Sarah Emma Sheetz Mowery. And she went to Calvary School, and this is what she put in it. It's in our attic. And she paid 50 cents for it. This is Calvary School, or Calvary Cornet Band. I don't know whether it's associated with the school or not. But it was formed in 1899 or 1897. And it played around a different organization or different social events in the community. And its members was number 1, Bill Barton. Number 2, Asa Sheetz. Number 3, Frank Didewick. Number 4, Charlie Russell. Number 5, Frank M. Sweller. Number 6, Luther Jackson.
and number 7, Walter Holler. And on the back row was Jake Swartz, number 8, Homer Didewick, number 9, number 10, Charles Mowery, number 11, John W. Sheetz, number 12, Arthur Berner, number 13, Harry Berner, number 14, Dave Heisey, number 15, William Henry Sheetz, number 16, Ira Sheetz, and number 17, Charles Smoot, the instructor. Now we're beginning to enter a new era of Calvary and of the school system, or the schools at Calvary. School number 3. Things really changed at Calvary with school number 3. We just talked about Steadley School, Calvary School number 2, and then the outlying schools, Elizabeth, Pine Grove, Green Hill, and Mount Vernon. Now Mount Vernon, they closed that school over there in about the 1920s. Those students didn't come to Calvary until then. But what they did when they decided to erect this new school, they consolidated these other schools into it. And I'm sure when they did the consolidation that the ascension was as great then in them days as they are today whenever they consolidate schools today. In 1880s and 1879, Virginia took over the school system. And they're the ones that planned and built the school up there, this new school, Calvary School number 3, and probably planned it in 19... Okay, right here, right in the middle of the road was Calvary School. Now we just talked about Calvary number 2 school was sitting here in the middle of the roadway from the 1842 up to about 1911-10. Now the new school is built to the right of it. Calvary School number 3 is going to be built right over in here on this lot, to the right of where Calvary School number 2 was. Now where this house is at today is just about... Here is a picture of the school right after construction in 1910. And it opened up the first school year of 1911 through 1912. And this room right in here was a room, that's where I attended first grade in, on this side. Over here is another classroom in this area right here. And this whole top floor all the way through here, there was one long room. And they had a divider down through the middle of this room, and on the end of it was a stage. Stages on this room where they held school plays. And they put the divider across here, and this room over here became a classroom. And this room here then was assembly room for events. This is the first year school manual that my daddy had, William Mowery, in the attic. And it's about the course study for Calvary Graded School. And inside it has a picture of the school. And the school was built for $5,000. And the teachers was Otis Dellinger, principal, Laura McInturff, Stella Bowman. And look down here at the bottom. It says school begins October 16, 1911, closes for Christmas holidays, Friday, December 22nd, 1911, and school opens again January 2nd, 1912, and closes on April 6th. Short school year. Kids today would love to see that. And in the back is a picture of their first year of opening of this little booklet. We're going to take and try to identify everybody in this picture for you now. Okay, here's the picture. We've blown it up real big. We put numbers to each one of these people that's on the picture. And there's about 12 of them where we couldn't identify. There's been a lot of man hours here trying to chase down these people that's on this photo. So we'll start over here with number 1 in the corner there. And Lois, tell us who they are in succession here for us.
Okay, the first one we do not know, but number 2 is Charlie Seibert. Number 3, William Henry Mowery. 5, Ray Alger Sheetz. 6, Ralph Berner. 7, 8, 9, we do not know. Number 10, Edna Hoover Tamkin. 11, Guy Martin Emsweller. Number 12, we do not know. 13 is Harry Seibert. 14, Elwood Fadley. 15, 16, we do not know. Number 7, Benny Eli Lambert. 18, Florence Hoover Heisey. 19, Margaret Heisey Marshall. Number 20, Virginia Sheetz Myers. Number 21, Bess Emsweller Graham. 22 is Nellie Miller Hoover. 23, Claudia Jackson Swartz. 24, Maisie Lambert Holler. 25, Zora E. Stepp McClanahan. 26, Eva Long. 27, we do not know. 28, Mabel Bemis Barton. 29, Charlie Heisey. 30, Alvin Ford Bemis. Ernest Earl Murray. 32, we do not know. 33, we do not know. 34, Earl Bellear Hoover. 35, Joseph Granville Hoover. 36, Luther Guy Sheetz. 37, Carl Samuel Heisey. 38, Charlie Raymond Murray. 39, Charles Frank Seibert. 40, Fred Cecil Bemis. 41, Edna Seibert Heisey. 42, Grayson Sheetz. 43, Elmer Lewis Murray. 44, we do not know. 45 is Myrtle Hoover Smoot. 46, Annie Byers O'Neill. 47, Mary Ellen Guest Riffey. 48, Edith Reedy Kibler. 49, Pearlie Malk. 50, we do not know. 51, we do not know. 52, Minnie Strickler Estep. 53, we do not know. 54 is Charlie Luther Fry. We do not know. 56 is Edith Kibler. 57, Mary Peters. 58, Alvin Sheetz. 59, Harold Pinky Sheetz. 60, Odin G. Sheetz. 61, Harry William Hoover. 62, we do not know. 63, we do not know. 64 is Margie Mary Bauer. 65, Hattie Bemis Snyder. 66, Lena Strickler Caro. 67, Lydia Sheetz Hone. 68, we do not know. 69, Homer Albertus Seibert. 70, Billy Barton. 71, Elin Daniel Sheetz. 72, Willie Kaufman. 73, Lester M.D. Sheetz. 74, Abraham Sheetz. 75, Clinton Benier. 76, Harry W. Strickler. 77, Harry Peters. 78, Carl Jackson. 79, Florence Hoover Reedy. 80, Willie Oni Ricker. 81, Stella Bowman Funkhauser. 82, we do not know. 83, Valley Mary Barr. 84, Della Hoover Keller. 85, Bess Sheetz Riffey. 86, Grace Hazzy Peer. 87, Elizabeth Bemis Sheetz. 88, Pauline Hazzy Holzman. 89, Otis Dellinger. 90, we do not know. 91, Fanny Byers Sheetz. 92, Irene Stickwood Jennings. And 93, we do not know.
Okay, we attempted to identify everybody on this, and we're sorry, there's about 12 of them we don't know anything about. Here's a list of students that went to school that year that wasn't on that picture that we called out. So, Lois, you made every effort to ask these people, some of them are still living and stuff, to whether they were on it. What did they say?
Well, when I asked several people who someone were, they told me who it was. 2 or 3 people told me, and then when I went to that person to ask them if that was who they were, they said, no, I don't know, that's me or my brother. And the same way with the sisters. So even the sisters and brothers didn't even know their own selves sometimes.
Okay. Here's another picture of Calvary, and it looks like it's in business there in this now. We have some baseball, softball backstops here, and looks like a flagpole here, and also some kind of a backstop here. This is a school souvenir of 1920. This is Gladys Seibert, the teacher. This is what's inside, and these were the students in 1920 of Gladys Seibert. Gladys Smoot Seibert.
Row 1 is number 1, Edith Stoneburner. 2, Mary Cooley Bowman. 3, Gladys Smoot Seibert. 4, Arlene Strickler. 5, Mary Miller Smoot. 6, Eunice Miller Willett. 7, we do not know. Number 8, Mary Miller Hoddle. Row 2 is number 9, M. Sweller Baumgardner. 10, Mabel Bemis Barton. 11, we do not know. 12 is Leah Berner Boswell. 13 is Gladys Sheetz Garber. 14, we do not know. 15, we do not know. And 16 is Edna Sheetz.
This is the teacher, Mr. Dirty, and we'll see what he has inside here. His students. Here is 1920, and Mr. Dirting, shoemaker's the superintendent. Here's the students that was in school at that time. Booklet here is compliments of Margie Sheetz. This picture was a courtesy of May Ship and Martha Stoneburner, right, Lois?
That is correct.
Okay, here we got another picture of 1920, and this was of Landon Dirting, right?
That is correct.
And we just showed his little pamphlet from school. We'll start with number 1.
Number 1 is Mabel Berner Helsley. 2, Thelma E. Step Balzerman. 3, Mary Miller. 4, Landon Dirting. 5, Daisy Holler. 6, Edna Sheetz. 7, Irene Riffy Holler. Second row. Number 8, Guy Emsweller. 9, Jason Sheetz. 10, Martha Ship Stoneburner Pence. Number 11, Lilia Burner Boswell. 12, Mary Ritnair Kaufman. Number 13, May Ship Kaufman. Number 14, Audrey Ritnair Hoover. 15, Arlene Strickler. 16, May Emsweller Baumgardner. Row 3, number 17, David Gokennair. 18, Stanley Ritnair. Reinhardt, Stanley Reinhardt for number 18. Number 19, Jake Sheetz. Number 20, we do not know. 21, John Robert Estep. 22, John Fadley. 23, Robert Holler.
Who's this picture courtesy of, Lois?
This is a courtesy of Ruth Dellinger Sheetz.
Okay. This is a school souvenir of Eula Sam. And I believe this was the year of 1920 also. And let's see who her students was. Eula Sam. And this is Eula Sam's students. And 1920. Picture here, what year is this, Lois?
This is 1920, 1921.
All right, who's the picture the courtesy of?
Ralph Sheetz.
Ralph Sheetz, okay.
And the teacher is Ruth Dellinger Sheetz.
All right.
Number 1, Catherine Swartz. 2, Eunice Miller Willett. 3, Hazel Riffy Keller. 4, Annabelle Ritnair McCoy. 5 and 6 are twins. I don't know what order they are, but their names are Margaret Elma Byers. Row 2, number 8 is Helen Kibler Markley. 9, Mary Rickard Hoddle. 10, Zila Fadley Riffy. 11, Helen Bowers Armel. Number 12, Beulah Rao and Boyce Rao. 13, Ralph Sheetz. 14, Fred Emsweller. 15, Myrtle Fravel. 16, Harry Miller. 17, George Seibert. 18, Harry Hub Sheetz. 19, Clarence Seibert. 20, Trenton Garber. 21, John Swartz.
Okay, number 7. I think we forgot number 7. Who's 7 there, Lois?
Is Lena Fadley Ryman.
Okay, and Hub Sheetz looks like he's hid in behind somebody there, doesn't it? Alrighty. We're looking here now, Lois. What years are this for? Is this for?
It's around 1922.
Okay, and teacher? Do you know the teacher?
We don't know who the teacher is.
All right. Compliment. Who's the photo compliment of?
Hazel Kibler Marston.
Alrighty. Let's start with number 1 down here.
Okay, number 1 is Hazel Kibler Marston.
Okay.
Number 2, Catherine Rickard. 3, Edna Rickard. 4, Blanche Kibler Sign. Number 5, Virginia Holler Tysinger. 6, Irma E. Step Reedy. 7, Margaret Miller. 8, Robert Schrum. 9, Lee Miller. 10, Willard Mick Rickard. 11, Shirley Funkhauser. 12, Edna Berner Suddeth. 13, Catherine Sheetz Swaney. 14, Dorothy Rittenauer Williams. 15, Virginia Fadley Jennings. 16, Clayton Fadley. 17, Clifton Sheetz. 18, Virginia May Reinhardt Lutz. 19, Stanley Funkhauser. 20, Hilda Sheetz Baker. 21, Evelyn Byers Hutchison. 22, Bessie Hoddle Miller. Number 23, we do not know. 24, Clarence Schramm. 25, William Sheetz. 26, Raymond Funkhauser. 27, John Robert Wilkins. 28, Carl Emsweller. 29, Fred Kibler.
Okay, and Dorothy Rittenauer, what was her last name again?
She married a Williams.
Okay, number 14 there. We want to take a special look at Dorothy because we're going to talk about her later on. All right, that's a good looking bunch of students, isn't it? What group is this right here? What school years?
This is around 1925, 1926.
All right, and who was the teacher?
I don't believe we have that yet.
And who's the photo courtesy of?
Edna Hoover Tankin.
Alrighty, let's go with number 1.
Number 1, Alan Gokenhire. 2, James Sheetz. 3, Roy Didewick, Big Cut. 4, we do not know. 5, Lester Barton Jr. 6, Lloyd Didewick, Little Cut. 7, 8, and 9, we do not know. Number 10, Irma Hepner Mitchell. Number 11 and 12, we do not know. 13, Grace Berner Kopp. 14, we do not know. 15, Marvin Berner. 16 and 17, we do not know. Number 18 and 19, we do not know. Number 20, Margaret Strickler Sheetz. 21, Edna Hoover Tankin. 22, Clayton Fadley. 23, we do not know. 24, Albert Buck Baker. 25, we do not know. 26, Lee Miller.
Alrighty, another good looking bunch here. Okay, here's another picture, and before we go any further, we'd like to say that there's going to be mistakes on here. Just is not possible to identify all these people because so many people helped identify other people, and a lot of people are a little bit vague, but you generally identified people through the process of elimination, didn't you, Shirley or Lois?
Yes, that is correct. When one person told me who that person might be, I put that name down and then put 2 question marks. When I went to the second and the third person and they said all of them agreed it's the same person, then I erased all the question marks.
But there will be mistakes here, there's no doubt about it, but we're doing the best that we can. We're sorry if we've made mistakes on people. All right, this picture here is from what year?
About 1925, 1926.
And who's the teacher?
The teacher is Virginia Miller.
And who's the courtesy of the photo? Courtesy of?
Ralph Sheetz.
Alrighty.
Chalmers Sheetz.
Chalmers Sheetz.
Chalmers
Okay.
Sheetz.
All right. Give us who's number 1 here?
Number 1, Lee Miller. 2, Marvin Berner. 3, Chalmers Sheetz. 4, Raymond Pinky Sheetz. 5, James Sheetz. 6, Clayton Fadley. 7, Granville Miller. 8, Ralph Miller. 9, we do not know. 10, Hazel Seibert. 11, we do not know. 12, Margaret Strickler Sheetz. 13 and 14, we do not know. 15, Garnet Miller. 16, Robert Sheetz. 17, Evelyn Miller Gokenire. 18, Eva Barr Berner. Number 19, we do not know. 20, Catherine Sheetz. 21, Blanche Kibler, signed. 22, Pauline Riffey. 23, Hazel Kibler Marston. 24 and 25, we do not know. And 26 is the teacher, Virginia Miller.
Alrighty. Another good looking bunch. Okay, here's another good looking bunch here, Lois. Who's this group? What year is this group here?
This is around 1925 through 1930. We don't know exactly the years that it's close to, but it's in between there.
Who's the teacher?
Edna Hoover Tampkin.
And who's the photo courtesy of?
Edna Hoover Tampkin.
Alrighty, we'll start with number 1 over here.
Number 1, Lester Clary. 2, Robert Sheetz. 3, Clayton Fadley. 4, Harold Andrews. 5, Ray Emsweller. 6, Chalmers Sheetz. 7, Elmer Helsley Jr. 8, Lyndon Berner. 9, Viola Reedy. 10, Helen Helsley. 11, we do not know. 12, Goldie Emsweller. Number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, we do not know. Number 18, we do not know. Number 19 is Lee Miller. 20, Albert Baker. 21, we do not know. 22, Margaret Strickler Sheetz. 23, Catherine Sheetz Swaney. 24, we do not know. 25 is Sally Mae Byers.
Alrighty. A picture of them here on the south side, and this picture is a little bit out of chronological order. This is the year of 1923 in the Lois.
That is correct.
And we overlooked it. It should have been inserted in before the last picture. And who's the teacher here?
John Andrews.
And 1923, and who's the picture courtesy of?
We do not have that. I don't know what the reason is that we do not have that.
Alrighty. Let's start with number 1 right here then.
Number 1, Catherine Heishman Taylor. 2, Eunice Miller. 3, Hazel Riffey. 4, Helen Markley. 5 is twin boys, either Malcolm or Harold. Number 6, Harry Miller. Number 7 is one of the twins, Malcolm or Harold Andrews. Number 8, Jay Pence. 9, Daisy Holler Kaufman. Number 10, Thelma Estep Balzerman. 11, Mabel Berner Helsley. 12, Mary Miller Smoot. 13, Beulah Boyce Rao. 14, John Fadley. 15, Clarence Seibert. 16, George Seibert. 17, Stanley Reinhardt. 18, Harry Hub Sheetz. 19, the teacher, John Andrews. 20, Catherine Swartz. 21, we do not know.
Okay, another good looking bunch here, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, we have a photo here, and I'd like to make a remark about this and right off. This is the first one I've seen where everybody's in order. And the teacher was who? I'd like to know who the teacher was. Who was it?
Pearlie Kibler Frabel.
Well, she must have kept her class really in order, because all these students is standing in attention and all in a line. And what year was it?
It was May the 31st, 1929.
And who's the picture courtesy of?
Iva Kibler Wakeman.
Alrighty, and start with number 1.
Number 1, Lorraine Barr. 2, Mary Jane Helsley Kiefer. 3, Ellsworth Hoover. 4, Cora Sheetz Swaney. 5, Isabel Seibert Stoneburner. 6, Ruth Rickard Jamerson. 7, Vivian Solon Borden. 8, Gillen Murray. 9, Max Bemis. 10, James Reedy. 11, Mabel Hoover Kibler. 12, Harry Berner. 13, Louise Psalm McInturf. 14, Evelyn Psalm Connor. 15, Bill Pence. 16, John Riffey. 17, Early Kibler. 18, Alan Gass. 19, Evelyn Miller Wilkins. 20, Catherine Fadley Strader. 21, Iva Kibler Wakeman. 22, Emma May Baker. 23, Ralph Barr. 24, Ernest Byers. 25, Chester Hoover. 26, David Estep. 27, Pauline Barr Chip. 28, Carrie Rickard Wilkins. And the teacher is 29, is Pearlie Kibler Fravel.
All right. Pearlie's got her group all lined up there in a row, looking good. Nice school picture here, individual pictures. It won't be hard to identify them. And who's this courtesy of, Lois?
This is the courtesy of Josiah and Pearlie Fravel.
Josiah and Pearlie Fravel.
That is correct.
All right, and don't know who the teacher was?
Not sure who the teacher was.
Okay, and what year is it?
1929, 1930.
Alrighty, start with number 1.
Number 1, Francis Berner Van. 2, Shirley Kibler. 3, Charles Reedy Jr. 4, Ellsworth Hoover. 5, David Estep. 6, Mabel Hoover Kibler. We do not know number 7. Number 8, Evelyn Miller Wilkins. Number 9, Chester Hoover. 10, Elva Barr Berner. 11, Early Kibler. 12, Louise Lambert Garman. 13, Harry Berner. 14, Cora Sheetz Swaney. 15, Lloyd Big Cut Dittawick. 16, Vivian Psalm Borden. 17, Paul Douglas Murray. 18, Ruth Rickard Jamerson. 19, Gillen Franklin Murray. 20, we do not know. 21 is James Reedy. 22, Isabel Seibert Lambert. 23, John Riffey. 24, Evelyn Psalm Connor. 25, Alan Gass. 26, Billy Pence. 27, Billy Fadley. 28, Kirby Barb. 29, May Kibler. 30, Douglas Lambert. 31, we do not know. 32 is Ernest Byers.
Alrighty. Okay, here's a large picture of Calvary School, and it appears to be 3 teachers on it. And I imagine there's 2 classes. And the class is so large, we've had difficulty in getting everybody recognized, haven't we, Lois?
That is correct.
And we've only got about half the people identified, right?
That's right.
And we're sorry about that, but I mean, they're plain enough, good enough, but you've went around to numerous people and they've, nobody could tell who they were, did
Well, I couldn't get 3 people to agree on one person, so I had to leave it blank.
Yeah, you got a lot of question marks with names, but we'd rather not guess at this. And anyway, we're just going to be skipping over a lot of people. We're sorry about it. We missed you. We're sorry about it. Okay, it's, what year is it?
1930 or 1931.
And the teachers is who?
The teacher is Harry C. Clyer downstairs, Charlene Swartz upstairs, and Pearlie Kibler-Fravel.
All right. Okay, and this is courtesy of who?
Josiah and Pearlie Fravel.
Alrighty, we'll start with number 1 here. Okay. Go ahead.
Number 1, Charles Reedy Jr. Number 2, Early Mowery. 3, 4, 5, we do not know. 6, Maggie Byer. 7, Audrey Caulfield. 8, 9, we do not know. 10, Everett Baumgardner. Number 12, Ellsworth Hoover.
Number 11,
Number 11 is Ellsworth Hoover. Number 12, Max Bemis. 13, Billy Fadley. 14 and 15, we do not know. 16, Ruth Rickard Jamerson. 17, Evan Miller Wilkins. 18, 19, we do not know. 20 is Francis Berner Van. 21, we do not know. 22, Cora Sheetz Swaney. 23, David Estep. 24, Lorraine Barr. 25, 26, we do not know. 27, James Reedy. 28, we do not know. 29, Carrie Rickard. 30, we do not know. 31, 32, 33, 34, we do not know. Number 35, May Kibler. 36, Pearlie Kibler-Fravel. 37, Harry C. Clyer. 38, Alan Guess. 39, we do not know. 40, Elmer Helsley Jr. 41, we do not know. 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, we do not know. 48, Charlene Swartz. 49 and 50, we do not know. 51 is Lester Clary. 52, we do not know. 53, Albert Gobb Byers. 54, 55, 56, 57, and 58. We do not know who they are.
Okay, and 59?
Number 59, we do not know. Number 60, Pauline Riffey Hammond. 61, Grace Berner Kopp. 62, we do not know. 63, Irma Estep Reedy. 64, Blanche Kibler-Sign. 65, Margaret Strickler Sheetz. 66, Lena Psalm Flemings.
Okay, we had the picture was done in 2 parts, and we got someone's faces distorted, and there's Gob Barr's face distorted, and some of these others. We're sorry about that, but anyway, it's a shame that these people all weren't identified on here, but I'm sure that people will see it. Everybody will start naming who's on it, so, but that's the way it goes. We got a real good-looking bunch of kids here, nice photos here. And who's the teacher? Looks like Pearlie.
Pearlie Kibler-Fravel.
Okay, yes, And anyway, what year is it?
Around 1931, 1932.
And who's the courtesy of?
Josiah and Pearlie Kibler-Fravel.
Alrighty, let's start with number 1 up here in the corner.
Number 1, Everett Baumgardner. 2, Isabel Holler Lineweaver. 3, Paul Douglas Mowery. 4, Kirby Barb. 5, Vivian Psalm Borden. 6, Douglas Franklin Seibert. 7, Samuel Zirkle. 8, Shirley David Kibler. 9, William Fadeley. 10, Evelyn Miller Wilkins. Number 11, Evelyn Psalm Connor. 12, Pearlie Kibler Fravel. 13, Fleeta Psalm Dyke. 14, Audrey Caulfield. 16, Marguerite Seibert Johnson.
Who was 15?
15
Uh-huh.
is Marguerite Seibert Johnson.
And 16?
And 16 is Galen Franklin Mowery.
Okay.
17, Emmett Sager Jr. 18, Francis Rickard. 19, Evelyn Fadeley Weinsberg. 20, Goldie Kibler. 21, Robert Byers. 22, Lorraine Barr. 23, we do not know. 24 is Ella Lucille.
Okay, we're going to show you a video. They're taking off the video. We was over at Miss Pearlie Kibler Fravel's, and I think it was the year of 1933. And she named these people, and I'm going to try to attempt to name them with you. And that first one there was a Riffy. The second one I think was Lyndon Berner. The third one there was Helen Helsley. And I think that's James Sheetz right there she's pointing to now. And that gal there beside of him was Goldie Imswaller, I believe is who she said. We could be wrong here on some of this. It's either James Sheetz or his brother Alvin.
William.
Or William, yeah, William. This is Chalmers Sheetz. It looks like Chalmers. And Vendola, they called her. I don't know, that's all they said, Vendola. And this Marvin Berner, old Tony there. And Helen Barr. And that's Josiah Fravel there, the teacher there in the middle. And they thought this girl on the right of Josiah side was a Riffy, maybe. I'm not sure. And this is Elmer Helsley Jr. Junior Helsley, as I always known her. I think it's his sister up there, Helen Helsley.
His nickname is Bugs.
Bugs, yes. Call him Bugs. This person beside Bugs there, I think it looks like a teacher or a teacher's aide. They didn't know who that was. Don't know who that is, so. Okay, now they said this one on the left there was a holler, and they believe it was Richard Holler. And it looks like one of the hollers, and this is an Emswiller here. Emswiller. Richard Holler there she's pointing to now, I believe. It's one of the Emswillers. They don't know who that is. And this is George Sheetz, I believe, they said, and then that's Lester Clary there. That looks like Lester, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Okay, Lois, this next picture here, what year is this one?
Around 1933, 1935.
Alrighty, and who's the teacher?
Harry C. Clyde.
And who's the picture courtesy of?
Irene Nutt Hoover.
Alrighty, that looks like Irene there on the front, in the front row, number 1. Is that who it is?
Number 1 is Irene Nutt Hoover.
Okay.
Number 2 is Ruby Miller Kibler. 3, Virginia King Roots. 4, Dorothy Holm Seibert. 5, Lorraine Day or Louise Day. 6, Evelyn Fadeley. 7, Anna King Ruby. 8, Terzi Barb Cooley. Number 9, Vernon King. 10, Gordon Seibert. 11, Charles Reedy. 12, Sammy Zirkle. 13, Marguerite Seibert. 14, Betty Day Ruby. 15, Francis Herball. 16, Douglas Franklin Seibert. 17, Noah Helsley. 18, Edgar Stickley. 19, Evelyn Miller Wilkins. And number 20 is the teacher, Harry C. Clyre.
Alrighty. Okay. Okay, this next photo has got lots of people on it, just like we had a photo before, but with lots of people with no identification on most of them. And this younger generation, this group here, this is 1935 year.
That is correct.
And this group here, a lot of them don't attend the reunions. And we always take these photos to the reunions and try to get identification. So a lot of these people just hadn't been to a reunion to get identification from them. So sorry about it, but do we have a teacher on it, Lois?
I don't believe we do.
And who's the donor of it, courtesy of?
I don't believe we know that either.
All right, we'll just go ahead and try to name what we have here. Well, sorry about it. We miss you, folks. We did the best we could. Okay, number 1.
Number 1 is Evelyn Lambert Neff. 2, Elaine Hoover Mowery. 3, Dean Hoover. 5 and 6, we do not know. 4, 5, we do not know. Number 6 is Eunice Lambert Taylor. Number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we do not know. Number 12 is Marvin Rao. Number 13, 14, 15, we do not know. Number 16 is Paul Sheetz. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, we do not know. Number 23 is Evelyn Miller Gokenauer. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30 we do not know. Number 31 we do not know. 32 is Charles Reedy Jr. 33 is Margaret Seibert Johnson. 34 we do not know. 35 is Evelyn Fadley Weinsberger. 36, 37, 38 we do not know. 39 is Helen Helsley Watson. 40 through 50 we do not know. Number 51 is Evelyn Psalm Connor, and 52 we do not know.
Okay, sorry about that, but we named what we knew. Okay, I see Leah Barner's the teacher here in this photo, and what year is this one?
This is around 1936, 1937.
All righty, and who's the courtesy of?
Harold Byers.
Harold Byers, okay, that's start down here. Looks like the Hoovers down here on the bottom. Go ahead.
Okay, number 1 is Ralph Reedy. Number 2 is Elaine Hoover Mowery. 3, Betty Boyce Swartz. 4, Jane Rudy Thorpe. 8, Eugene Sheetz Martin. 6, Ruby Seibert Huffman Rinker. Number 7, Richard Boyce. Number 8, Jimmy Miller. 9 is a doll baby. And 10 is Eunice Lambert Taylor. 11 is Sylvia Dawn Jackson Brown. 12, Anna Lee Psalm Miller. Number 13, Calvin Stoneburner. 14, Annabelle Neff. 15, Harold Byers. 16, Marvin Rao. 17, Dean Hoover. 18, Goldie Bard. 19, Joyce Grandstaff Pierre Wilkins. 20, Lydia Berner is the teacher, and also Mrs. Henderson was a school supervisor.
21, huh? Now, we've cut off
You want that?
somebody here. It was number 6 that we cut off, and Ruby Seibert.
And
Okay, didn't want to leave her off.
Mrs. Henderson's still sick of
And Mrs. Henderson, yeah. Okay. Here was a small photo from Calvary School. Went and attended the Shenandoah Caverns one day. And there was a lot of people on here, and we only got a few of them named. We're going to just name the ones that we know. So start off, Lois, quickly.
Okay, does that have a date there?
That's 1935 is what it says.
Okay, number 1 is Anna Mae Hall Jones. Number 2 is Maggie Barr. Number 3 is Anna King Ruby. Number 5, we do not know. Number 6 is Dorothy Holland Seibert. Number 7, Irene Nutt Hoover. Number 9 is Charles Reedy. Number 10, we do not know. Number 11 is Early Murray. The next one is 15, Isabel Holler Lina Weaver. Number 25, Goldie Kibler.
25?
25.
Okay.
28 is Marguerite Seibert Johnson.
All right.
And number 35 is Vernon King. And number 40 is Jewel Kibler.
All righty, Joe Kibler. Okay. Well, this photo was courtesy of Terry Kibler. It was from his dad, Earl Lee Kibler, and Ivy and Terry is the one that donated it to us. We appreciate it. Okay, here's a picture of a school play they had at Calvary. And the school plays were put on once, twice a year, sometimes 3 times. And the money was donated toward buying things for the school, like athletic stuff or things that was needed in school. And this particular play here was called the Arizona Cowboy. And this is the book from my dad, and my dad was in it. And we'll see who some of the characters that was in it on this page right here. Looks like it was. We can see who all they were. Lois, tell us who all is in this picture on the.
Okay, this was taken in 1935, and it's the first row kneeling is Ralph Sheetz, Gail Byers Alexandria, Willard Mick Rickard.
He's dressed up like the Indian?
A Chinese
Chinese
man.
guy, okay.
Helen Kibler Markley.
Okay.
The ones that's standing over, starting with the left, is Chalmers Sheetz.
Yes.
William Murray.
Okay.
Grace Berner Kopp.
Alrighty.
Charlene Swartz. Rodney Didewick. Jewel Kibler. May Emsweller Baumgartner. And Harry Sheetz.
Alrighty. They look like they have a lot of fun there. Calvary School Play, 1935, right?
That is correct.
Okay, here's one of the advertising bills of the play, and it said it was for to purchase the proceeds if used to purchase electric light plant for Calvary Graded School. And these are some of the characters that was in the persons in the play. And and it was cost you 20 cents to get in. What year was this, Lois?
1921, 1922 is when this play was done. And
Okay.
the picture came from Ruth Dellinger Sheetz.
All right. Okay. Name them off.
Number 1, standing, is Landon Dirting. 2, might be an Emsweller, we're not sure. 3, Maisie Lambert Holler. 4, Lester Sheetz. 5, John Sheetz. 6, Harry Berner. 7, Grayson Sheetz. 8, Harold Sheetz. Standing, number 9 is Eula Sign. 10 is Rose Funkhauser. 11 we do not know, and 12 we do not know, but we know that the Emsweller girls was in this. Number 13 we do not know. Number 14 is Ernest Murray. 15 is Ruth Dellinger Sheetz. 16 is Helen Sheetz.
Alrighty. Okay, this picture here was taken anywhere from 1925 to 1930. And who's this courtesy of?
Chalmers Sheetz.
Chalmers Sheetz, and it's a school play. We don't know which one it is. Okay, number one. Who's down here?
Number 1 is Price Myers. Number 2 is Harold Sheetz. 3 is Lizzie Myers Kibler. Number 4, Maggie Lambert Holler. 5, Asa Sheetz. 6, Helen Sheetz. 7, Ernest Mowery. 8, May Emswiller Bumgardner. Number 9, Bernice Sign. Number 10 is Claudia Jackson Swartz. 11 and 12 we do not know. 13, Kate Emswiller Fravel. 14, Lester Sheetz. 15, Eula Sign. 16, Abe Sheetz. 17, Price Myers. 18, Odin Sheetz. 19, Grayson Sheetz. 20, Milton Lina Weaver. 21, Frank Seibert.
School
Okay.
plays at Calvary.
Okay, name these people
Well,
here.
the Patmos had them. The Patmos we had at Calvary. Let me see, that's Claudia and her husband, Guy, Lelia Berner. Roy Borden, that's who that is up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that up there, there's Roy Borden, I guess. Mabel Berner, May Ship, Edna Berner, Arlene Didewick, Margaret Berner,
Yes.
and Harry Berner, Ruth Borden, and me, and that's Guy, and that's Annie Berner. And of course,
Oh, okay. Now who's this right here?
well, this is me, and this is me. This
Your
is the
school
same
play?
play. This is the same play here where I was bride and groom. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here we're seeing a picture of a band there at Calvary, and they played in some of the events around the community. And name these people here in the Lois from left to right.
That is William P.P. Mowery, Harry Hub Sheetz, Joel Kibler, Ralph Sheetz, and Carl Sheetz. Also, I believe they told us, Margie Sheetz said they played up until 1934, and that's the end when they finished.
Okay. And that's our father there on the end. Hey, this is my dad's report card here, and the little booklet. And here's one inside, and we noticed inside here it reads there, it says, they closed all month on account of the epidemic. It must have had a diphtheria or something. Okay, this is our last bunch of pictures, and we're running out of time, and we're not going to have time to tell you all the nice, wonderful stories we've heard about our school at Calvary. And there are things about how they went to school, traveled through people's properties, their fences. And most of the farmers or the landowners had what they called a thing called a stile. It was a wooden light step fence that you went and stepped up over the fence and stepped down the other side. And the people told us their dogs even learned how to go up and down these things. Well, Lois, tell us some of the few little stories there while I scan this picture here, and people can look at them and see who they are.
Okay, Pearlie Kibler Fravel told us that with all grades, when a book was completed, that person went on to the next book according to what they knew, rather than being in a certain grade. Also, Pearlie Kibler Fravel said when a woman teacher became married or pregnant, she was not allowed to teach by law. Virginia Roots also told us that the ponies and carts were driven to school, and of course horses were there too, and the horses didn't like the ponies. Also, Mrs. Marguerite Marshall, she was Mrs. Heisey, told Robert and I that when she was a child at Calvary School, maybe around about age 8, the automobiles were very few on the road. Dr. Smoot would come to the road, the teacher would dismiss class and let children go outside to see Dr. Smoot go by. They could hear the cars coming from a mile away. Also, it seems like everybody had nicknames in school. There was
Okay, they had lots of events at Calvary. We just don't have time to talk about all of them, but they had a school fair there, and it looks like it was in the year of 1913. And Lois, tell us a little bit about the events that went on inside this booklet here.
Well, the girls, they had to know how to make bread, cakes, pickles, canned tomatoes. They had to know how to make an apron and darning and buttonholes. Of course, the boys, they had to know how to make axe handles and bookcases, and they had to grow perfect ears of corn and the quality of grapes and the quality of apples.
Okay. Alrighty, I spent the first year of my school days at Calvary, and then it closed and I went to Woodstock. And this is my first grade reader book. It seems stupid now to read it, but Lois, tell us about the history of Calvary there, when it closed and all.
Okay, the last school day was in April of 1943. It was sold to David Wakeman of Edinburgh for $1,900. And while he was converting the building into apartments, it caught fire in the late hours of the morning in the year of February of 1944.
Okay, this is a newspaper article in 1975. And this is the end of the era, the starting of a new era, the reunions. Lois, tell us about the reunion here.
Yes, and Calvary School reunion was October 5th, 1975, and it's held at the Woodstock Recreation Park. It was mainly organized by Dorothy Rittenard Williams. She did have the help of Helen Kibler Barkley and Arlene Didewick Band. Also, Thelma E. Step Balzerman was in charge of the memorials. Now, we're not going to name names down through the years. They have been keeping this alive. We are not going to name all the people for fear we might miss someone.
Here is the first picture of our first Calvary School reunion at Woodstock Recreation Park in 1975.
All right, we'll start to the left of this, and there was about 140 people attended this day. And Lois, tell us some of the teachers that was taught at Calvary School, and forgive us because we might not have a complete list. Tell us the ones we have.
Well, we're starting with 1911. Of course, they wouldn't be there in 75, some of them, but Otis Dellinger, Minnie Henson, Sidney M. Arts, D.J. Reynolds, Stella Bonkhauser, William Tampkin, Gladys Smoot-Seibert, Eula Sine, Landon Durting, John Bowman, Charlene Swartz-Duncan, Harry C. Clyer, Perry Crable, Ruth Dellinger Sheetz, Willie Oney Ricker, Edna Hoover Tampkin, Virginia Miller Clark, Ruth Keller Richmond, Josiah Fravel, Eva Bargelt, Galen Christ, Pearlie Fravel, and her maiden name was Kibler, Lydia Berner Boswell, Virginia Hunter, and Virginia Whidace.
Okay, I remember this day. It was a joyous occasion. The last two teachers to teach at Calvary was Eva Bargelt and Mr. Christ, wasn't it? Galen Christ.
I believe so.
The pencil is Dorothy Rittenard Williams. She's the one that started this reunion, and we can owe our thanks to her for these reunions we're having today. These were the teachers that attended the first reunion that day. Well, what you're seeing now is some video from early day reunions starting in 1986. This is my first video camera that I had at one of the reunions, and you're going to see excerpts of the videos we've done through 86 through 1989. And this is a poor quality camera here at first, and you'll see the quality pick up. While you're watching these, looking for people there, watching this video of the past reunions, I have a piece of paper here, the Code of Conduct of Rules, written by a schoolmaster or a school teacher back in 1839. And this was from the Kaufman family down over the hill, and their parents was from the Rickert family. And it was in their possession. The Kaufmans gladly shared it to us. But some schoolmaster wrote this in 1839, and the Steadley School was in operation at that time, and it could very possibly come from up there. Here's what's written on the Code of Conduct for Students. There is to be no loud talking, no laughing, no crawling on the benches, nor unnecessary walking about during school hours. But every scholar, whether great or small, is after coming into school is to take his seat in an orderly and quiet manner and keep it until necessary to leave. The large scholars are not to push away the small ones from the stove during cold weather. The small ones are always to have preference in that respect. In the morning, the first to get to school worms themselves must invariably get back from the fire and let others who come in after them get to the stove. With respect to your lessons, the best scholar will always say first, and so on till all have said. Ciphers always have the preference. Ciphers in no instance to read more than 2 pages. The ciphers will say 2 lessons a day, one in the morning, one in after coming in to school, the other in the evening after coming in from play. No slate to be presented to me while I am in spelling class or manning a pen. You are to write twice a day, once in the morning saying the first lesson, next after saying the first lesson when coming in from play. You are no instance to write over a half a page. You are not to use each other's pen, ink, or scribble on each other's copies or writers unless it is quite large ones to read their copies previous to writing as well as showing them after writing. In spelling class, the most profound attention is silence to be observed. In the time of playing, there is to be no loud hollering, no throwing of stones, no snowballing, no wrestling, no boxing, no fighting, no swearing, no nicknaming, no skating on the ice, and this is a practice to which the large scholars are addicted to. I will just tell them as soon as you do it. I will beg them to take themselves from school as quickly as possible. When you are called to books, you are one and all to leave play. Come in from school in an orderly and quiet manner. Boys and girls are to play separately, and the girls with their bonnets on. You are always at every time and every place to be obedient and polite to every person by saying yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am when speaking to older persons than yourselves. You are always to speak to them in a polite and civil manner. You are to squander no time on the road into coming to and returning home from school. You are also to speak to me as coming into school in the morning. The same to be observed when going out tonight. You are particularly cautioned against nicknaming each other and the most wealthy in throwing up the poor their poverty. There is no news to be brought from home to school, and no news or tales of any description take from school home. I will thank all the large scholars today were examples of obedience to the rules, and notice the general conduct of small scholars and report the same apparently. You have heard the rules by which this school is to be governed. All scholars who think themselves too large for chastisement rod after violating one of these rules will be immediately expelled from school. Now, can you imagine today going into some of these school systems in inner cities and handing this your code of conduct to a student? He could pull a gun on you. This particular reunion here is, I think, in 1989 is when it was. No, this was in 1988, and it only lasted about, maybe 20 minutes. It was a very extreme cold day that day, and we had a shower, and it only lasted about 20 minutes. This is all it showed up for it, and we all took pictures here and broke and went home. Now, I think we've always had the reunions there since 1975. They've always been held there, haven't they, Lois?
I believe they have.
Yes. And we've always had a pretty good crowd. And you and who all's been on the committee forming them?
Well, Kibler Wakeman is the one that's been working it the most, and Phyllis Kipps and I and Karen Kibler has been doing the advertising. We'd like to have some new people to help us out if they would.
Yes, and of course Thelma Eastep Bosman, she is still actively involved, and she's helped so much. And there's other people too. We'll see some people on here that is not with us any longer, and it's a shame. The teachers that we spoke to about Calvary all told us that they taught 2 and sometimes 3 grades in the same classroom. And one grade would be in the first several rows, and the next grade would be in the next several rows, and so forth. and she would spend so much time with one grade, and then while having the other grades doing the lessons from a book or a blackboard, the teacher would also rotate her time with these grades all day long. And 3 of the Calvary school teachers that we spoke to were former students of Calvary, and they were Edna Hoover Tamkin, Pearlie Kibler Fravel, and Leah Berner Boswell. And there's possibly more. There's so much stuff that we could have told you. We've heard so many stories, and we're getting toward the end of this tape. And it's a shame we can't tell you all the stories that we've heard about the school and the people that we've met. This is a 1987 still photo of the picnic or reunion we had, and from there are 4 former teachers of Calvary, and left to right there, name them for us, Lois.
Edna Hoover Tamkin, Pearlie Kibler Fravel, Ruth Dellinger Sheetz, Leah Berner Boswell.
And we both want to give real special thanks to these 4 teachers, along with others, for their contribution for helping make this video possible. We really appreciate it. All right, this is a copy of that Code of Conduct that you heard me read earlier in the program, and it's written in 1839, and we don't know who the author was. We have a late picture come in here, and it's from the year of 1925-1926, and it's from Edna Hoover Tamkin, and we're going to identify these. It's out of order, but here it is enhanced. Okay, Lois, tell us who they are here from top left to right.
Grace Berner Kopp, Lloyd Didewick, Elva Byer, Lee Miller, Margaret Strickler Sheetz, Edna Hoover Tamkin, teacher, Albert Baker, Mary Jane Helsley Kiefer, James Baker, Blanche Kibler Sign, Robert Sheetz, Carrie Rickard, Clayton Fadley, Roy Didewick, Josephine Fadley Strader, Lena Song, Leslie Barton Jr., Emila Baker, Iva Kibler Wakeman, and James Reedy.
This concludes our presentation of the history of Calvary School. We've had a lot of fun doing it, haven't we, Lois?
Yes, we have.
Yes. There's more to tell. You know a lot of what we know, but not all of it.
That's right.
And we may, if more information comes in pictures, we may do a volume 2. Excuse our amateur look of this production, because it's all done with a camcorder. We've had to be the editor, the production manager, the everything that goes with it, technical director and everything with this. So anyway, we've done the best we could, and we hope you have enjoyed it. And you've been, how many years making this, Lois?
6 years.
6 years, and you can see by the beginning we started a while back. And we want to thank everybody.